My name is Hayley Upson and I run a company called Hayley Upson Communications. It's a PR company based within Machine Agency. We have our own existing clients and we also offer PR across some of the Machine clients. I don't take branding too seriously, and I think that's probably quite important. I think if you're true to yourself, that your brand naturally emanates from within. But if I was to describe myself as a brand, I would probably say I'm a fairly positive, optimistic, enthusiastic, and energetic brand, because those are the features that I didn't manufacture but have always just been intrinsic to me. And as I've grown older and more experienced in the workplace, I've realized that people have identified me as being that, and they've been fairly positively received. It's quite difficult to separate the two because my business is called Hayley Upson Communications, so it puts a lot of pressure on me actually, I found personally in the past. And that will change because in time my business is going to be renamed a more neutral name. But for the last 7 or 8 years it has been Hayley Upson Communications, and I've been the forefront, I've been the face of the business. So I have to be professional and I have to try and behave in a way that's appropriate in all manner of situations. I have to be friendly and professional at all times. It's important that the brand that you work for, that there is some kind of fit. And I believe that you need to be comfortable working for a brand. Your personal brand needs to somehow lock in, or somehow click in to the brand that you're working with. I never went into this business trying to establish a brand, and I think that's important to state up front. I think that my brand has developed over time when I look back in hindsight. But how do I communicate my brand? I think that I communicate it in everything I do. When I speak, in my behavior, I believe every touch point that anyone has with me, they're experiencing the brand that is Hayley Upson. As a woman in business, I'm always looking for female mentors. So I'm going to be naturally drawn to a woman, and I'm going to say there aren't any women that I currently work with, which doesn't mean that I don't respect the women I work with. I do. I just believe there are certain brands out there, female brands, that I aspire to, and that I would love to be my mentor. And in some way, what they do, I try and gain inspiration from it. And one woman is Sheryl Sandberg from Facebook. I think she's quite amazing in the way that she deals with family life and business at a very high-powered level. I think Michelle Obama is a great brand. She's strong and yet she's supportive, and she really captures that balance really well of being sort of behind the scenes but not subservient to her husband. I think she's a great brand, and I think she's a great brand for all modern women. Sheryl Sandberg, definitely more corporate. I think she's an inspiration to working women in general. She says to us that we can have it all, and we can have it all if you just balance it correctly. I've always respected Natalie, the swimmer. Is it Natalie du Toit? I think she's incredible. She's been true to what she stands for. She's quite outspoken about what she believes in. She only aligns herself with brands that she believes are suitable for her. I think the way she has worked incredibly hard to achieve what she has achieved is quite amazing, especially when she had that massive setback of losing her leg. I think she's an inspiration, and whenever I see her, I always want to cry. Whenever she wins a race, I always want to cry. I think she's just phenomenal against all obstacles. She was incredible at what she did, and then something was taken away from her, but she didn't let that stop her dream. Even though she physically lost her leg in a sport that she had to be physically, she had to be at her peak. So she's definitely an inspiration to me as well. There you go, 3 women. Women in business. Well, that's a big subject. I think women in business, women have it all at the moment. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for women. Women are increasingly in more and more senior positions. And I think that's because there's less discrimination against women in business. But that doesn't mean there's still a lot of obstacles for women in business. I think some of the prejudices that I found are that women who have children and families aren't as passionate or don't work as hard as women without. And I find that really offensive, because that's absolutely not the case. A woman can do it all. You can be as committed to your job and to your business. And why should I be less committed now to my business than I was before? And that just undermines a woman, I think. You know, we can achieve whatever we want to achieve, just like a man can achieve what he wants to achieve. And if we have a goal in mind, if we have a passion, we can work at that and make a success of it. So for women in business, I think as you get a bit older, it gets trickier. There are certain prejudices. I think for women starting out, there's so much opportunity. But the one thing I would actually like to add to this is I find increasingly at my age a lot of women dropping out of business. And I think that's really interesting. And I think it's because life becomes challenging. It gets harder to juggle family, children, and many women opt out. But I think they're opting out of something that is so rewarding from an individual sort of perspective. You know, if you want to evolve as a person, and if you want to truly discover who you are, I think work and the work that you do is one of the most important channels to discovering that. And we need to be careful as working mothers that we don't just become, the mothers of our children and our, the wives of our husbands. We can be more than that, and we need to constantly self-evolve, and we mustn't forget that. I find for my business that the personal touch and working really hard has given me my added advantage. I found the clients that I had started my business with are still a lot of the clients that I have today, and I really think that's testimony to the relationship that I have with that client. I don't ever overstep the boundary, but I always make sure that I give them as much as I can, personalized attention, and that's what they want. They don't want to be part of a system where they lose that personal relationship. And I think that that's always been quite critical to the success of Hayley Upson Communications, that they've always had contact with me. It's difficult now to grow the business and for them to get used to the fact that I'm not always going to be there, but I will always try and touch base with that client. And I'm finding it's not as difficult to overcome, but I'm always trying to add that personal touch to what I do, and that keeps clients happy. The key factors would be just to always remember that this is not a personal conversation. This can be emailed to anyone. First of all, online, email correspondence. I think it's very important that you're polite. A lot of people I find can be quite aggressive on email and then put a little happy smiley face at the end. It's called passive aggressive, and it's just not something you should even tap into. Every time you are communicating externally, that person is touching your brand. So you're revealing your brand. So every touch point is an indication of what kind of brand you are. And on social media, I think, this is such a big issue. When you work for a brand like Machine, I think it's important that if you are going to talk about your business in the social space, you've got to be very careful. I would steer clear of politics, I would steer clear of religion, and I would steer clear of being critical of, colleagues or your company or even your competitors in the social space. So just stick to being polite and don't be rude or nasty. Just play it safe. I'm fairly comfortable with my personal brand because I think it's me, and I think I'm 38 now, and I feel fairly comfortable with who I am. So from a branding perspective, I'd love to be thinner, but I don't know if that can be for a single brand. But my personal brand, I'd say I'm happy. I'm 8 out of 10. Hi, I'm Hayley Upson. This is the Brand Me series. Create, express, and impact.